The transformation of a human life does not happen by accident, nor does it happen through the simple passage of time. It happens through the deliberate application of fundamental truths that most people acknowledge but few actually inhabit. If you are standing at a crossroads, feeling that the current version of your existence is too small for the spirit living within you, then you must understand that change is not a matter of chance. It is a matter of architecture. You're the architect of your reality, and the rules you choose to live by are the blueprints for the house you will eventually have to live in. To change your life, you must first change your standards, and that begins with the absolute, unwavering rule of total accountability. Most people spend their lives looking for a scapegoat, someone or something to blame for their lack of progress, their unhappiness, or their stagnant bank accounts. They blame the economy, they blame their parents, they blame the government, or they blame their luck. But as long as you point a finger outward, you are admitting that you are a victim of your circumstances. You are essentially saying that you do not have the power to change your life because someone else is in control. The first rule of a transformed life is to take the remote control back. You must accept that everything in your life today is there because of a decision you made or a decision you failed to make. Even if things happen to you that were outside of your control, your response to those events is entirely within your hands. Taking 100% responsibility is the most liberating thing a human being can do, because if you are the problem, then you are also the solution. Once you stop complaining and start correcting, the energy of your life shifts from a state of passive suffering to a state of active creation. This leads directly into the second rule, which is the pursuit of purpose over the pursuit of comfort. We live in a world designed to keep us comfortable, distracted, and numb. From an infinite scroll of social media to the instant gratification of modern entertainment, we are constantly being pulled away from our potential by the siren song of ease. But comfort is a slow death for the soul. If you want a life that matters, you must be willing to trade temporary pleasure for long-term purpose. Purpose is the internal compass that keeps you steady when the storms of life begin to howl. It is the reason you get out of bed when you are tired. It is the fuel that keeps you working when everyone else has gone home. Without a why, your how will always be weak. You must find something that is more important to you than your own convenience. Whether it is providing for your family, breaking a cycle of poverty, or creating something that changes the world, your purpose must be the North Star that guides every decision you make. If a choice does not align with your purpose, it is a distraction, and distractions are the thieves of greatness. The third rule is the radical management of your internal environment. Your mind is a garden, and if you do not intentionally plant seeds of strength, resilience, and ambition, the weeds of doubt, fear, and insecurity will grow by default. The way you speak to yourself matters more than the way anyone else speaks to you. Most of us are far harder on ourselves than we would ever be on a friend. We replay our failures like a movie on a loop, and we whisper "I can't" or "I'm not enough" so often that these lies become our truth. To change your life, you must become the master of your internal dialogue. You must speak to yourself like a champion in training. When you feel fear, you must acknowledge it but not obey it. You must replace the "what if I fail" with "what if I fly." Your subconscious mind is always listening, and it is always working to prove you right. If you tell yourself you are a failure, your mind will find evidence to support that. If you tell yourself you are a winner who is currently learning, your mind will seek out opportunities for victory. This mental shift is not about toxic positivity. It is about psychological utility. You cannot build a high-performance life on a foundation of low-performance thoughts. Closely tied to this is the fourth rule, the embrace of voluntary suffering. In ancient times, warriors and philosophers knew that the only way to stay sharp was to seek out hardship. Today, we call this getting out of your comfort zone. The human brain is wired for survival, which means it wants to keep you safe, warm, and fed. It does not want you to take risks. It does not want you to be embarrassed. And it certainly does not want you to fail. But safety is the enemy of growth. If you want to expand your life, you must be willing to do things that make your heart race and your palms sweat. You must seek out the difficult conversation, the heavy weight at the gym, the complex project at work, and the public stage that terrifies you. Every time you do something difficult, you are depositing resilience coins into your mental bank account. Eventually, you become the kind of person who is not easily shaken because you have been through the fire by choice. You become unbreakable because you have practiced being broken and putting yourself back together. The fifth rule is the law of environmental contagion. You are a product of your environment, and the most influential part of that environment is the people you surround yourself with. There is an old saying that if you are the smartest person in the room, you are in the wrong room. This is not about arrogance. It is about growth. We are social creatures who subconsciously mirror the habits, language, and ambitions of our peers. If your inner circle consists of people who spend their weekends complaining about their jobs and their evenings watching television, you will eventually find yourself doing the same. If, however, you surround yourself with people who are obsessed with growth, who hold themselves to a higher standard, and who celebrate your wins as if they were their own, your trajectory will change automatically. You must be ruthless with your associations. It is okay to be friendly with everyone, but you must be intimate with only a few. You need people in your life who push you, who challenge your excuses, and who make you feel a little bit uncomfortable with your current level of success. You need mentors who have already walked the path you are on, and peers who are running right beside you. Energy is infectious. Make sure you are catching the right kind. This brings us to the 6th rule, the mastery of time. Time is the only currency that you can never earn back. Once a minute is spent, it is gone forever. Most people treat their time as if they have an infinite supply, wasting hours on trivialities that add zero value to their future. To change your life, you must stop spending your time and start investing it. An investment is something that pays dividends in the future. Reading a book is an investment in your knowledge. Exercising is an investment in your health. Building a business is an investment in your freedom. Scrolling through a celebrity's life on social media is a waste of time. You must learn to say no to the good so that you can say yes to the great. You must protect your schedule with the same ferocity that a guard protects a palace. If you do not have a plan for your time, someone else will have a plan for it, and it usually involves their goals, not yours. The 7th rule is the principle of relentless consistency. We live in a culture that worships the overnight success, but if you look closely at anyone who has achieved greatness, you will see years of quiet, boring, and repetitive work. Intensity is what gets you started, but consistency is what keeps you going. Most people quit when the initial excitement wears off. They start a diet on Monday and quit by Thursday because they haven't lost 10 pounds yet. They start a business and quit after 3 months because they aren't millionaires. Success is a game of attrition. It is about doing the small, unsexy things every single day, regardless of how you feel. It is about showing up when you are tired, when you are bored, and when you are discouraged. The 1% rule states that if you get 1% better every day, you will be 37 times better by the end of a year. That is the power of compounding. You don't need to be a genius. You just need to be the person who refuses to stop. The 8th rule is to remain a perpetual student. The moment you think you know everything is the moment you stop growing. And in a world that is changing as fast as ours, if you stop growing, you are actually falling behind. The most successful people in the world are obsessive learners. They listen more than they talk. They ask questions instead of making statements. They read voraciously. They understand that their current level of knowledge is what got them to their current level of life, and if they want to get to the next level, they need new information. You must be willing to admit when you are wrong and be willing to let go of old beliefs that are no longer serving you. Humility is the prerequisite for learning. If you can learn from every person you meet and every situation you encounter, you will become an unstoppable force of nature. The 9th rule is the development of a thick skin through the detachment from external validation. One of the biggest obstacles to personal change is the fear of what other people will think. We stay in jobs we hate because we want the title. We stay in relationships that are dead because we don't want the stigma of a breakup. We don't start the YouTube channel or the business because we are afraid of being judged by people who aren't even doing anything themselves. But the truth is, the people who judge you are usually the ones who are most afraid of their own potential. Their criticism is a reflection of their limitations, not yours. You must learn to value your own opinion of yourself above the opinions of the crowd. You cannot live a life that is true to yourself if you are constantly looking for the approval of others. When you stop caring about the applause, you finally become free to perform for the only audience that matters, the person in the mirror. Finally, the 10th rule is the practice of radical gratitude. It is easy to be grateful when things are going well, but the real power comes from being grateful when things are falling apart. Gratitude is not just a nice feeling, it is a strategic advantage. It shifts your brain from a state of lack to a state of abundance. When you focus on what you have, your mind begins to see more opportunities to grow what you have. When you focus on what you don't have, your mind sees only obstacles. Gratitude gives you the perspective to see every setback as a setup for a comeback. It reminds you that even on your worst day, there is someone praying for the things you take for granted. By living in a state of appreciation, you become a magnet for positive experiences. These 10 rules are the pillars of a life well lived. They are not easy to follow, and you will stumble many times along the way. But if you commit to them, If you weave them into the fabric of your daily existence, you will find that the life you once dreamed of will slowly but surely become the life you are actually living. The power has always been in your hands. It's time to use it. To truly understand the weight of these rules, you must realize that consistency is the bridge between the dream and the reality. And most people allow that bridge to collapse because they are addicted to the feeling of being motivated rather than the practice of being disciplined. Motivation is a feeling, and feelings are fickle. They come and go with the weather, your mood, or the amount of sleep you had the night before. But discipline is a contract you sign with yourself that says your goals are more important than your current emotional state. If you only work when you feel like it, you are giving your emotions the power to dictate your future. You must reach a point where your habits are so deeply ingrained that you act out of identity rather than impulse. When you identify as a person who never misses a workout, you don't have to debate with yourself about going to the gym. It is simply who you are. This shift from doing to being is the secret to long-term transformation. It requires you to look at every small choice as a vote for the person you want to become. Every time you choose the healthy meal, the difficult book, or the early wake-up call, you are casting a vote for a high-performance identity. Over time, these votes accumulate into a landslide victory for your future self. Furthermore, you must master the art of focus in an age of infinite distraction. We are currently living through a crisis of attention where everyone is fighting for a piece of your mental real time. If you cannot control your focus, you cannot control your life. You must learn to go deep into your work, shutting out the noise of notifications and the constant itch to check for updates. Deep work is where the magic happens. It is where complex problems are solved and where true skill is forged. Most people live in a state of continuous partial attention, never fully present in their work, their relationships, or their own thoughts. By reclaiming your focus, you gain a competitive advantage that is becoming increasingly rare in the modern world. You must protect your mental space as if it were your most valuable asset, because it is. This also means being careful about what you consume. Just as you wouldn't eat junk food all day and expect to be healthy, you cannot consume mental junk food, negativity, gossip, and mindless outrage and expect to have a clear, powerful mind. You must feed your brain with high-quality information that challenges you and expands your horizons. Another critical layer of changing your life is the understanding of failure as data rather than an ending. In our society, we are taught to fear failure, to hide our mistakes, and to feel ashamed when things don't go as planned. But every successful person knows that failure is simply the price of admission for greatness. If you aren't failing, you aren't pushing hard enough. Failure is a feedback loop. It tells you what didn't work so you can adjust your strategy and try again with more intelligence. The only true failure is the one you don't learn from, or the one that causes you to quit. You must develop a relationship with failure that is based on curiosity rather than ego. When something goes wrong, ask yourself what this experience is trying to teach you. What skill are you missing? What part of your plan was flawed? By decoupling your self-worth from your results, you become fearless. You realize that you can survive the fall, and in doing so, you gain the courage to climb even higher. This resilience is what separates the people who reach the top from the people who stay at the bottom of the mountain, forever looking up and wondering what if. You must also recognize that your physical body is the vessel for your ambition. You cannot expect to perform at a high level if you are treating your body like a trash can. Sleep, nutrition, and movement are not luxuries. They are the biological foundations of a successful life. When you are tired and malnourished, your willpower is the first thing to go. You become reactive, irritable, and short-sighted. To stay in the game for the long haul, you must prioritize your health with the same intensity you apply to your career. This means honoring your need for rest so that when you are working, you are operating at 100% capacity. It means choosing foods that fuel your brain rather than fog it. It means moving your body every day to keep your energy levels high. A strong mind requires a strong house to live in. And by taking care of your physical health, you're giving yourself the stamina to endure the challenges that come with any major life change. Ultimately, the journey to a new life is a solitary one, even if you are surrounded by people. No one can do the push-ups for you, no one can read the books for you, and no one can face your fears for you. There is a certain loneliness in greatness because it requires you to walk away from the herd. It requires you to be misunderstood by people who are comfortable in their mediocrity. You must be okay with being the weird one who wakes up at 4,000 a.m., the intense one who doesn't want to go out drinking, or the obsessed one who talks about their vision with a fire in their eyes. This isolation is temporary, and it is the filter through which all true leaders must pass. On the other side of that isolation, you will find a new tribe, a group of people who are also playing at a high level and who will push you even further. But to get there, you must first be willing to stand alone.